Hi, welcome. I'm Kimberly. Welcome to my kitchen and this week's G-Free Deliciously Wildtree Wednesday Live. Today we're going to be making pumpkin oat breakfast bars, and these bars are heavenly. They're so good. As we're going through today's show, if you can add your comments, I will be answering them afterwards. You can either send them to me in a private message or feel free to add them in the comments below. A couple things, if you would like to be entered into my weekly drawing for Wildtree products, and that enter me into the comments. Let's get started. If you're new here to G-Free Deliciously and Wildtree, I wanted to let you know a little bit about that. Now, my specialty is cooking gluten-free. I love helping people learn how to cook easy gluten-free meals at home. And you can find lots of gluten-free recipes that I like to say are good for anybody, because think about it, vegetables, meats, so many unprocessed foods are gluten-free already. So these are all recipes that you can easily make for your entire family, even for those gluten eaters out there. You can go to my website for all of the recipes at gfreedeliciously.com. Now, I've been with Wildtree for about a year now, and we have something that is called our cooking collections. And we launched these brand new ones in September of this year. And lucky for you, all of the September cooking collection, everything in the bundle, Wildtree decided to make it a regular part of your order experience, so you can always order that bundle. So the Wildtree is a safe and trusted culinary adventure, really. And it was founded by a woman, Leslie Monte, who she had children that had special dietary needs. And it was hard to find seasonings and products in there that were free of food dyes, high fructose, and MSGs. So her solution actually was to make those blends and those seasonings, and thus Wildtree was born about 25 years ago. So over the past 25 years, they've offered a variety of products. They've become trusted in many households, and they've obtained some pretty high standards of manufacturing in their Rhode Island facility. So they're certified USDA organic, certified gluten-free. They are Star K kosher, a peanut-free facility, and they're certified safe quality foods. These are all third-party certifications, and that means a lot to people with allergies. And so we know that we can trust them, and that's part of the reason that I got into Wildtree in the first place. So really their idea was to make it simple for everyone to explore the wonders of cooking and that. So I just want to talk real briefly, our monthly cooking collections. You get 4 products, 8 recipes. You get shopping lists as part of that. In this month's October fall flavors, and that we've got the pot pie skillet meal seasoning and that for you. We've also got the shepherd's pie skillet meal seasoning that is part of the bundle. This is their garlic herb blend, and I use this almost daily in the things that I cook. And then we've got what the pumpkin pie cheesecake blend that I'm using in today's recipe. Now, the cheesecake blend is special because you can only get it for 1 month as part of the collection. It's a seasonal thing. We had it last year and bringing it back again this year too. But it's a seasonal product that is so good. I've used it for making little mini cheesecakes and big cheesecakes. And again, we're using them in these bars today. So I'm clearing off a few things to get all ready and that for working and making today's recipe. So the recipe today is these pumpkin bars are dairy-free, soy-free, kid-friendly, and you can prep them in under 10 minutes, which anything that is fast in the kitchen, I absolutely love. And that. So let's see, what else can I tell you about these bars? They are, I'll just look at my notes here. They're high in vitamin C, fiber, complex carbs, which complex carbs give you energy, and they have a healthy dose of other nutrients packed inside as well. So I'm not sure about you, but I try not to eat too many sweets first thing in the morning. They generally just don't fill me up and that, and get me going in my active day. So I try to include things that are healthier at breakfast time. If I'm going to eat sugar, I'll generally try to save that for dessert. So these breakfast bars, they have just the right amount of sweetness from the brown sugar and the chocolate chips. They contain a good amount of filling fiber from the oats and a satisfying protein and crunch from the walnuts and pepitas in them. And as I mentioned, you can get this recipe on my website at gfreedeliciously.com, or you'll also, if you order our October Fall Flavors collection, and that you will get this recipe in that bundle. The recipe cards come with it. They're actually a digital recipe card like this. I have saved paper and printed on both sides. And a really, really cool idea that I got from one of last week's viewers. She said that when she's printing this off, and like me, she likes printing them off in color. So she's saving this. You can buy those nice little accordion files, and she, on each tab, did one for breakfast, dinner, desserts, and then she's saving those cards in there so that she can refer back to them anytime. So I thought that was a really great viewer tip that came to me in a private message last week. Absolutely genius, Gina, who sent that in. And that, so we're going to get going with the recipe here. I'm just getting my notes all in order so that I'm doing everything in the right sequence. And that I'm no Paula Deen for sure. Anyhow, you're gonna start by taking your flour. I'm just gonna put this all into my bowl. Next, we're gonna take the oats, and again, you can get all of the quantities and that for these ingredients on the recipe on my website. Next, I've got the baking soda and salt, which I've pre-measured out here. So I'll add that in. And then we've got the pumpkin cheesecake blend. Today I'm making just half the recipe. And on my website also, real cool little tip for you is on the recipe cards themselves, there is a little slider so that you can adjust the recipe to just exactly what you need. You can make half the amount, you can make 2 times or 3 times the amount. So I've put these ingredients in here and I'm just going to whisk them together. And I'm going to set it aside for just one moment and grab another bowl here where, wild hair. I'm going to grab another bowl here where we're going to put in the pumpkin and the oil. The brown sugar, egg, just 1 egg. In the full recipe, you'll be using 2, and the vanilla. Okie doke. I know I'm like so anal when it comes to making sure that I've got everything just in its right place. I did forget to tell you that, so I'll jump back to the flour for just a moment. So I'm hoping that I'll remember that. Because I wanted to talk a little bit about the flour and the oats. So once you have all of those ingredients, you're going to whisk those together, and that makes just a soupy bit here. And I should mention here about the pumpkin. So you certainly can use canned pumpkin like this. You want to make sure that it is 100% pure pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, because we want to limit the amount of sweetness that's going into this recipe. And if you turn this around, if you're gluten-free, you want to make sure that it is stated gluten-free on the label, and also that the only ingredient is pumpkin, and that you also could boil down and make your own pumpkin puree if you go to the farmer's market for a small pie pumpkin, which is about this size, and that you're going to wash it up, cut it in half, scoop out all of the seeds and chunk it like you would for potatoes. Put it in a pot, and about 15 minutes is going to cook that pumpkin down. Then you can run it through a food mill or put it in a high-speed blender, and that you're looking for about the consistency of mashed potatoes in the pumpkin. And that, and 1 pumpkin is going to end up, 1 pumpkin this side is actually going to cook down to about 15-16 ounces that you would get in your can from the grocery store. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to get the oat and flour mixture. And I'm just going to put a little bit to a time. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the oats and the flour. So the flour, if you need to eat gluten-free or have made that choice to eat gluten-free, you have a gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity, in that the thing that you're going to want to do, and I'll just set this behind me here. I'm going to need the spatula again in a moment. The thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you are using a cup for cup gluten-free flour. And I've set aside here so that I can show you my very favorite is called GF Jules gluten-free all-purpose flour. You can find that on my website. I've got several links to it so that you can purchase. Now, if you do purchase this flour, I earn a small commission, but that's how I make my money. Another gluten-free flour that I love, and I'm just going to talk about it, although I make no money from this product, is King Arthur Baking Company's gluten-free measure for measure flour. So you're always going to want to look for either a cup for cup or sometimes called a measure for measure flour to use in that. And then I've got also about the oats as well. I've got a Bob's Red Mill, and in some of the recipes, I will link it in this one as well, but you can get this through Thrive Market. Also, many of your local grocery stores will have this. You want to make sure that it is, and I'll just show you, a little wrinkly here, but it does say gluten-free. You want to make sure that it's certified gluten-free flour, or oats, excuse me. And that I had a bad experience early on, and that with non-certified gluten-free oats when I was trying to figure out everything with my celiac disease, and was looking for all of the hidden places that I could have been being glutened, and that's where that came from. Now, stick that behind me here. So the last thing then that we're going to do in this is I'm going to add half of my walnuts, half of my chocolate chips, and half of the pepitas. And again, if you need to be gluten-free, I want to just do a shout out to Enjoy Life Foods. I believe that Hershey and Nestle also now have gluten-free chocolate chips. But again, if you need to be gluten-free, you don't want those hidden sources of getting gluten so that you have problems. I've used the dark morsels today. Enjoy Life Foods definitely is gluten-free, and you can find it on the back of the package where it lists free from wheat, peanuts, tree nuts, dairy, soy, egg, sesame. It lists everything on the back of the package there. So that's just another thing. So we're going to mix those half of the chocolate chips, the pepitas, and the walnuts into our batter. And I've pre-prepared my pan. You can butter or grease around the outsides of the pan, and then you want a piece of parchment paper that you're going to lay through. You don't want it to cover all four sides, but just wide enough for the bottom of the pan, and then leave your ears of parchment on the top. The reason being, and I'll demonstrate this a little later, is that by having that parchment, it's easy to pull those bars out of the pan at the end after they're finished cooking. So you're just going to put it in the pan and then spread it out. This makes me want to say I would appreciate one of those overhead cameras if we were that fancy. Then I could show you, just like they do on TV, how everything looks. Oh, to be Paula Deen. And then also a little bit about pepitas. A lot of people aren't familiar with pepitas and don't really know what they are. So pepitas are just the same. They are the pumpkin seed, the inside of the pumpkin seed. So that's the part of the pumpkin seed without the shell. And I have a couple little notes here, so I remember to tell you everything. And that, you know, they're referred to as hulless pumpkin seeds. And of course, pumpkin seeds are naturally gluten-free, and a few types of pumpkins. They're called oil seed pumpkins, and I don't know how this works. God definitely had a great plan when he invented our foods and that. But oilless pumpkins, now these are not your Halloween jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, in that they grow without the shell over top of the seed itself. Again, it's amazing in that. And then pepitas also are called, the Spanish meaning is tiny squash seeds, which I thought was kind of cute. So we've got our batter all in the pan, and you can kind of see it there. And now we're just going to sprinkle the remaining walnuts, pepitas, and chocolate chips on top. It's looking good already. And I just love fall with all the happy smells in the kitchen, don't you? So here we go. Here's what it looks like. And then we'll stick it in the oven. And through the magic of video and television here, this is funny. Through the magic of video and television, here we go. They're done. Yay! Here are our pumpkin oat breakfast bars. Now, I said a little bit earlier, I would tell you why the parchment paper is over the side. So I'm just going to move this tray over here and put this down here. We're going to lift them up, and now you can see how it just comes out of my pan really, really easily. So when you, after you've cooked the bars, a lot of people ask, how do I store them? How do I keep them? And that. So if if you're making one batch and you're a small family, they will keep for several days if you don't eat them all at once first. And that they'll keep several days on the counter or in the refrigerator. Again, you can double or triple the recipe if you have a large family, or if you would like to freeze them. They do freeze super, super well. If I'm freezing them, I'll grab wax paper, wrap each bar individually, and then put them in, you know, an airtight container, and that one of those nice little containers that you get at the grocery store or a big box store, and that there are several brands out there that you could use. So what this does, these are great for on the go. They are perfect, and that to have with your cup of coffee. I've got mine here. And a side of yogurt and some fruit for breakfast. Makes a nice little breakfast before your household gets super busy or you have to head out the door. And that, again, I like to include them for lunch boxes. They're perfect in the lunch box. They are perfect to freeze ahead there so that you can grab out just what you need. And for longer storage in the freezer, they will last for up to 3 months for you in that, so that you can indulge in these wonderful bars at any time. So cooking with Wildtree is affordable, it's simple, it's delicious. I would invite you to explore all of our cooking collections at my Wildtree store, and you'll find the links to my store on my Facebook page as well as on my website. And that we have monthly cooking collections. The monthly bundles keep mealtimes exciting, simple, and fun. These staple collections are full-time bundles that cater to absolutely every mealtime need. And we also have what are called make-ahead collections. They're full-time bundles that are perfect for busy people who like to pre-prep ahead of time. And soon I'm working out all of the details, but I'm looking at doing some of these where you'll opt in. We'll actually do a Zoom meeting instead of a live presentation, and you can follow along to make 7 meals that you can put in the freezer that are really, really simple, easy to do, and will help you through your week. And that at my Wildtree store, you can filter products and recipes by your mealtime need, meaning that you can search and sort by dietary restrictions, by your allergens, cook time, cuisine, the cooking method, so if it's baking or on the stove top. And you can also visit the menu builder, which in a few simple steps, you can build weekly menu plans with grocery lists. Also on my website, if you join as a site member, you can build menu plans from the recipes on my site. So you'll want to visit gfreedeliciously.com for more easy, quick, healthy breakfast ideas. Some of the things on my site, I've got wild blueberry almond energy bites. I have a recipe on there for healthy granola bites and almond apple oatmeal protein shake. And I've got several muffin recipes. The one that comes to mind is the cinnamony cranberry toasted walnut muffins that are perfect for this time of year. And that, thanks so much for joining me today. You are loved more than you will ever know. And until next time, be free deliciously.